Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm just going to give a short introduction to, or a little background philosophy on the reasons why I wrote this. This is my second book, and then my intention is to read the book to you, if that's okay. So, I'm ready, Rickard, yeah.
Here we go.
I started writing children's books about 6 or 7 years ago. I call them children's books, although my intention has been to create stories that can stimulate a person of any age. I became interested in using the children's book as a medium through which both parents and children can interact. You could say then that I write children's books that are simple enough for children to understand, and yet sufficiently complex to stimulate adults too. I realized this was important when I noticed that my son, at aged 5 or 6, always chose the books that seemed to inspire both of us. I'm also fascinated by the partnership that can exist between words and images. Illustration provides support for the understanding of children. At the same time, if the style of the illustration is considered and appropriate and is able to fascinate the child, then that child will have a more meaningful association with the language. In other words, the learning process is facilitated by this powerful combination of words and images. The images that you're seeing at the moment are from my second book entitled Spaceball. I'll be reading the story to you shortly. In response to the request of a rector in a school in Evenemanget, I developed educational courses on perspective taking for children based on my books. One question I ask the children when they have read Spaceball is, what is it about? I usually get the response that it's about football and space, to which I reply, well, they are characters in the story, yes, but the story is actually about history and what history might mean to us. By using space and football, I have taken you on a journey, I say to them, in order to think about what history means to us all. It's a journey through time to think about the events of time. The collage illustrations are not perfectly finished, and it's clear to see that they are assembled. This style is adopted to specifically encourage children to make their own books. There is a workshop style to the book. The aim is to reduce the distance between any child's imagination and the possibility of producing their own book. They just need a strong idea. They can learn how to achieve the balance that is required to properly express their ideas through experience and experimenting. There are many street names mentioned in the book, and this is because the story is a mixture of fantasy and reality. The streets are real, and taken together they form the route to a very famous football ground. See if you can work out which one it is. And now to the story. I want to just hold this. Is that okay? Yeah. Can you still hear? Okay. Albert Einstein said that fantasy was more important than knowledge. This book is dedicated to him. Football is my world. My dad told me that if I kick the ball hard enough up into the air, it won't come back down again. It only comes down because of gravity, he said. I let my dad say what he wants. That night, while the stars shone bright in the sky, I dreamt that I kicked the ball so hard that it travelled in a straight line, right out into space. It rocketed past Mars, where they make Mars bars, past the supporters in red, walking down the Warwick Road. No, they're not Martians. It zoomed past Jupiter through the clouds of blue and brown and white and red. Jupiter reminds me of a giant marble. It is 318 times bigger than Earth. And went down the Chester Road past the Roxy Cinema. It volleyed past Saturn, I want to stand on the rings of Saturn. And over the crossing, through the Dog and Partridge pub. It bolted past Lou Macari's fish and chip shop on Uranus, and then was seen speeding past Neptune and down the Samat Busby Way. This is nothing to do with the Milky Way. Neptune has 8 small moons and no fish left. Then it shot past the Munich clock on Pluto and straight into the back of the net. The crowd went crazy. Maybe they were crazy anyway. I screamed and jumped up and down on my bed. It had to be the longest goal ever scored at Old Trafford. I couldn't wait to tell my dad in the morning. He was eating shreddies. He said it had to be the greatest goal in the history of everything. The history of everything, I thought. Is that you? Is that me? Is it us? Is it them? Is it pain? Is it greed? Only one problem, said my dad. What's that? I asked, eating his shreddies. How are you going to get your ball back? He said, smiling. My dad said he would get me a ball on one condition: that I restrict myself to the planet Earth.